a lot was going on.
Hey, it's me.
Hello and welcome to the web. I'm Nick Webb. This is my channel, obviously. If you're new, I want to absolutely welcome you and say thank you for tuning in. If you are coming back, I love you, I love you, I love you even if you're new. Today is just gonna be a story time because I've had the craziest week and I need to vent. I need to vent about something. I've vented to my husband and my mom and I need to vent to more people. So here you are. If you're new here, I did get my rib surgically removed like 3 weeks ago, I think. 3, maybe 4 weeks? How many weeks? Tomorrow will mark 1, 2, 3 weeks. So I'm coming up on my 3-week. So I've already been dealing with like the recovery of my rib removal. I literally have my scar right here. Don't look at my armpits. I haven't really shaved, but I have my scar right here. I'm still like healing from that, dealing with that. Not a lot of pain, but there's still like numbness, a little bit of pain. I'm recovering from a major surgery, okay? Let's keep that in mind. I ended up in the emergency room and let's unpack that. Let me set this scene for you actually. Monday night, my husband goes to school late on Monday nights, so I'm making dinner for myself. I make one single big tortilla folded in half of a quesadilla that I didn't even finish. I ate half of that. So I had a quarter of a quesadilla that had cheddar cheese, steak, and then I have like blended up chipotle peppers. I wanted to make chipotle mayo, but I didn't have mayo or yogurt. So I just did a little bit of a chipotle spread, like Taco Bell, okay? I have a quarter of that. And then I have 2 glasses of red wine. Nothing out of the ordinary for me, okay? I do sometimes get a little bit of acid reflux. Like if I eat too much, I'll get some acid reflux. Some things I eat will flare it up a little bit quicker, but it's usually just me doing like kind of a mucusy cough. That's it. No heartburn, nothing, okay? Middle of the night, Monday night to Tuesday, I wake up. No, I was like in and out of dreaming, and you know, my ladies will understand this. You know, when you have your period and you're getting it in the middle of the night and the cramps are starting and you're kind of like in your dream, you know you're having period cramps, but because it's just period cramps, you keep sleeping through it, and then you wake up like a little bit earlier than you're used to, and it's like, oh, period cramps, and I started my period. It felt like that, and I was like in and out of dreaming about having just like severe pain in my abdomen. And finally, I woke up around 4 a.m., maybe 3 a.m. 4 a.m. I think the pain started around 3 a.m., but I woke up around 4, and I finally like woke up and got out of bed, and like right here, there was severe, worse than a period cramp, worse than like your worst period cramp. Severe, just not maybe squeezing, maybe cramp-like, kind of the combination, and it wouldn't go away. You know how cramps kind of like they come and then they go and they come and they go? No, it was just there and just like radiating through my body and abdomen. So my first thought is maybe I just have diarrhea. Like maybe I just overdid it with what I ate. But usually those cramps like are like lower when you know you have like the bubble guts. So, but I was like, maybe things are moving down. Let me try to go to the bathroom. I can't even go to the bathroom. It like was a little, like I couldn't really pee right away, but I didn't have diarrhea. So then it was like hours of me laying down, trying to go to the bathroom, laying down, trying to go to the bathroom, can't. Finally, I tried to take a hot bath because I read that can relax the cramps. Doesn't work. Kind of wake up my husband a little bit, and I was like, no, I'm gonna let him sleep. Just, back and forth. Finally, I take another bath. At this point, it's 7 a.m. I take another bath, get out of the bath, profusely vomiting. Vomit like so much. And I don't vomit often, and I haven't in a long time, so I hate vomiting. I haven't vomited sober in a while. When I'm drunk, I'm convinced it makes me feel better if I vomit the night before, but like I don't remember vomiting come the next day. So to be vomiting sober was a very horrible experience. I think it's been 2 years since I've vomited sober. Anyways, I finally wake up my husband at like 7:30 and I was like, hey, I just threw up a lot. And he, my wonderful husband, was just like, should I take you to the doctor? And me, the annoying wife, said, no, Then he said, no, I'm taking you to the doctor. And I said, no, I've just been in pain since 3 a.m. He's like, we're going to the doctor. And then I sobbed to him. Because at this point I was just so tired. I just wanted to sleep. I sobbed and I was just like, please, I just want to sleep. I haven't slept all day, all night. I'm just so tired. I'm like literally sobbing. And what's he gonna do? I'm crying to him. He's gonna look like the bad guy either way. Bad guy, he's not taking me to the doctor. Or bad guy, he's not listening to me cry and my wants and needs. And so he's like, okay. He's like, but you're not working today. You're not leaving this bed. You're resting. I was just like, okay, whatever. And I ended up sleeping the whole day, like in and out of sleep. So I wasn't really drinking a lot of water. My husband goes to school. He comes home from school, you know, a little bit later, around 6 o'clock. And I finally was like, we should go to the doctor. The pain was subsiding a little bit, but it was still in waves and it hadn't gone away. And by then it was over 12 hours of pain. I couldn't hold any food down, even a cracker. Like looking at the cracker made me nauseous. So I was like, you know what? Maybe something's wrong. And I don't go to the doctor for these things because I'm thinking it's just like really bad acid reflux and I'm gonna be embarrassed and turned away and blah, 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 and I should stop doing that. If there's something wrong with your body and you're unfamiliar with it, go to the doctor. Don't be like me. Let me put that out there first, okay? He takes me to urgent care because I'm not dying, so we don't think emergency room. We go to urgent care. I get in line, and by this point, I figured this was just because of dehydration, because it does happen to me. I was getting body aches and chills, but also my lower back where like my kidneys are were really hurting. And so I figured it was probably like, if I get sick or if I get too tired and dehydrated, that'll happen. I'll get the body aches and almost like a fever-like symptoms, as well as my kidneys will hurt. Like severe exhaustion will make my kidneys hurt. Oh my goodness, my children are here. Hi, Gracie. Oh, my children are here. Oh, and then there's a Romeo. There's a Romeo. Come here, buddy. Can I keep telling my story? He said, nope, nope. Yeah, oh, now you want to say hi to the people. He needs a bath, so don't say anything about it, but he's a little scruffy boy right now. So we get to urgent care, and I tell them, like, my symptoms, and urgent care immediately was like, you need to go to the emergency room. So I started crying, and the nurse was like, it's just like, the tears welled up, and this nurse probably, just because at this point, like, I just had a major surgery. I just got out of the hospital. I'm going to the emergency room. I'm sick of this. I'm sick of it. But she like saw kind of the tears come to my eyes, and she was really sweet. And she was just like, it just means like urgent care is about to close, and emergency is gonna want to run all these scans on you, and like they're open longer so that these scans can be done right away. Get to emergency room. This is where I'm gonna preface a lot. I'm gonna preface things, then I'm gonna bitch about things. So here we go. Let me preface. Doctors, nurses, medical staff, I have the utmost respect, love, and admiration for you. And I also know that a lot of issues people have with like emergency rooms and like doctors and stuff, I know that it more comes from the top. I know that there's a whole system that needs to be redone and fixed because doctors and nurses aren't given the necessary, not really tools, but like lifestyle to be performing their best. And it's not their fault. It is, you tell them, Gracie. It is a system that has been this way for so long and is slowly starting to change but needs to be better changed. If you're ever like frustrated with like a nurse or a doctor that's like making a tired mistake or something, yes, the person is responsible for their mistakes, but also let's keep into account that by no choice of their own, some of these people are working 24-hour shifts. That means 24 hours without sleep, and that's not their choice. That's not on them. I like truly think we should start a movement, because why as a society are we allowing the people who should be the utmost rested, healthy, cared for, because they're taking care of our bodies, why are we letting them suffer? So that then there's these mistakes of being if you are too exhausted you are similar to that of being drunk. Like if you drive being too exhausted, it is kind of the same as like drunk driving. I heard that somewhere. I don't know if that was just like an article I briefly read or if there's like scientific backing behind that. I feel like there is. But bottom line, I'm sorry. The surgeon who did my rib surgery, I know, like, thankfully that I was his first surgery of the day, and hopefully that man was like somewhat rested. If I was his like last surgery on like his 19th hour of the day, I'd be terrified. I'd be terrified for this man to cut me open and rip out bones. Why is this? I know that I can't fix it. I know that I can't fix it. But I also just want us to be aware that I know a lot of doctors and nurses get like kind of the brunt of everything, but it's also like a lot of it's not their choice. It's administration won't hire enough nurses and doctors, so doctors have no choice but, okay, I'm gonna do it 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 hours today, because that's administrations want to be a little bit cheap. And it's also just a whole system and a whole structure. And a lot of these nurses and doctors are very, very tired and they're very exhausted. And are there mistakes that happen? Yes. Is it their responsibility? Yes. But I also think we need to extend a lot of grace, because a lot of their mindset and mental capacity and everything is not where it should be by no choice of their own. And I don't think enough people realize or know that doctors, I mean, we all watch Grey's Anatomy, but like, you know, you just think, oh, doctors work 24-hour shifts, but you're not thinking like, could you work a 24-hour shift and be mentally okay? I work an 8-hour shift, and by my 7th hour, I'm just like delusional and insane. That's my little preface, my little rant, and like, we need to appreciate the medical system. We need to dismantle the system and restructure it, that it benefits those who are tending to our lives. Now, also, I will preface too, this doesn't diminish those who are actually careless medical care people, those who have committed malpractice for like just them being stupid, greedy, whatever. There is also that category that exists, and they deserve a tomato thrown at them. But let's also just extend that. That's my rant. Medical field, you're trying your best. I know it. But now for my rant. So, because, and I'll explain. I get to the emergency room. 7 o'clock. It's a little busy. Emergency rooms always are, especially at that time, because urgent cares are closed. So people that can't get into urgent care but want to see a doctor, go to the emergency room, even if it's not an emergency. I get checked in. I tell them my symptoms. Not on my period. Not having diarrhea. Vomiting. Severe abdominal pain. Back pain. I just had a major surgery. I think that's kind of all I said. Okay. They get me all checked in. 2 hours later. 2-hour wait to be seen. I think this person technically is a physician's assistant, but for the sake of the video, I'm calling her doctor because she was the doctor on duty. I get seen by the doctor to do blood work, I assume. She clearly was overwhelmed because she was helping somebody first, because we're in like a little cubicle. She's helping somebody first, and he like, she wasn't getting frustrated with him, but I think she was realizing he needs greater care than this conversation I'm having with him. So I could tell she's just a little overwhelmed, and it sounded like one department was bitching at her for sending somebody to their department or whatever. She gets to me. She's like, what's going on? I repeat all my symptoms. And she hears back pain, and she's like, okay, it's probably a UTI. Oh, UTI? I haven't, because I said it, so she asked if it hurt to pee, and I said yes, but I meant it was uncomfortable, and I should have clarified, and that's on me, because it was uncomfortable where it didn't hurt to pee, but it just like took me a little bit to pee, and it just felt uncomfortable. It felt uncomfortable. So she says, okay, it's probably a UTI, and she's like hitting my back or like tapping my back. She goes to feel because I said abdominal pain. She goes to feel where I'm saying it hurts. She touches it. I start crying in pain. She says, okay, we're gonna do a urine sample and blood work. She has my little pee cup, and I was like, oh, I can go right now. She's like, okay, go pee. She shows me the bathroom. She's like, okay, put your pee cup on this little table, and then go back to the lobby. I was like, okay, so I go pee. Mind you, she didn't tell me to do midstream. And if you're ever being tested for a UTI, something I learned after, you have to catch it midstream. You gotta let a little pee out, then you get it midstream. Because I guess the pre-pee can have a false negative for a UTI. So I do my test. I come out of the bathroom. She's nowhere to be found. I see the little nurse's station. I say, hey, do I put my pee cup right here? She says, well, it doesn't have your name with your sticker with your name on it. And I was like, no. And she's just like, well, let me look for your paperwork. She can't find my paperwork. She's like, she writes with pen my last name, this nurse. First red flag where I was like, I feel like I'm gonna be forgotten about. So then I go sit back in the lobby for 2 more hours. Oh, also the doctor said she was gonna give me pain medication. She didn't. 2 hours later, a nurse grabs me and she says, have they done your blood work? And I said, no. And she was like, nobody's done your blood work? And I said, no. I've been here for 4 hours. I did my urine test 2 hours ago. And she was like, okay, come back with me. So I was like, I was forgotten about. I was 100% forgotten about because she said they should have done your blood work when you did your urine sample. I knew I was forgotten about and I was just like, all right, whatever. So I go, I get sat down and the emergency room was busy and I know like squeaky wheel gets the oil and there were people that were complaining, so they got called back before me, and I should have, but it's also like, I feel bad. I could see that they were busy. I've worked in customer service where it's just like, you're busy, I'm gonna let you do your thing. Am I hunched over in pain with a vomit bag? And the people being pulled back are just like kind of walking around, everything's okay. Yes, but like, you're busy. I don't want to disturb you. But I should have. I should have at least vouched for myself, like, hey, I'm really in pain. I think I was forgotten about, because I was. I go to get my blood work done. They finally gave me a Zofran for my nausea. And they take a bunch of blood. I haven't eaten all day. I've barely had water. They sit me at an uncomfortable chair at the nurse's station. She sits me, this whole other separate, the phlebotomist, is that who takes your blood? She sits me down, she's like, okay, I'm gonna go see where they want you. I'm sitting there for, at that point, another 2 hours. And my husband wasn't able to come back with me at this point. And so finally, the doctor comes up to me and says, so you do have a UTI? And I said, okay. And she said, and you said you were on your period, right? And I said, no. And she was like, oh, well, we found blood in the urine. And I said, well, I'm slightly spotting because I just got off hormonal birth control. I said, but I'm not bleeding. Like, I'm not bleeding. She said, okay, that's probably what it is. Oh, I'm sorry. Like, okay. I know that this woman was probably very, very overwhelmed and very, very exhausted. So I give grace in the sense of, I know that she's just not a careless person, but she is not given the tools to be the best version of herself that she needs to be for me. But if there is any blood in my urine, shouldn't you go run more tests for me? I said, does the abdominal pain that I came in with, is that because of my UTI? She looked at me confused and said, abdominal pain? No, that wouldn't be connected. And I said, well, that's what I came in for. The pain I've had since 3 a.m. that has caused me to vomit up everything. She said, can you hold any food down? And I said, I don't know. I haven't eaten today. She said, okay, we're gonna try to get you some food to hold down. If we don't, we'll run more tests. And I will say to also her credit, all of my blood work came back clear. No gallstones, appendix, all of that. So, okay. Finally, my husband's able to come back. An hour passes. An hour. We're on the 7th hour here. And I'm just telling my husband, nobody's checked on me. Nobody got me food to try to hold down. Nothing. And so my husband comes back. An hour passes. Nobody's taking care of me. I overheard the conversation of the woman next to me. And this is when a big, big red flag raised for me. Because the woman next to me, not to like give out all of her information, but there's no way you would know who she is. She was bleeding. She said, I've been bleeding a lot. The doctor was like talking to her about other things. and like giving her an update on that. They had given her fluids. Nobody gave me fluids. Again, I said I hadn't drinking water. I've been vomiting. Nobody gave me fluids. Every bitch in that place had fluids but me. So she's getting fluids and the doctor's kind of explaining a whole other separate issue. And she says, mind you, I know that she's bleeding a lot because she said, like from her vagina. She says, okay, but what about the UTI? And the doctor said, what UTI? And the girl said, the nurses said that I have a UTI. Does anybody see what I felt in that moment? And it's one of those things where it's like, I'm not gonna chime in and say, did you get us mixed up because we're sitting chairs next to each other? Because then that shows that I'm overhearing. And in the emergency room, there's really no there's no patient privacy because you're in chairs, you're in hallways, and it's like the conversations, I saw somebody have a seizure. Like, it's just the emergency room. It's pure chaos and stress. And I really feel for anybody who works in an emergency room, you guys deserve everything. So, but in that moment, and I go back and forth, like, should I have said something? Should I have not? I don't know. But in my head, I was like, did she get us mixed up? Because, like, that would make sense that there's a UTI sample that tested positive with blood in it, and we're both being told we have a UTI, but she's for sure the one that's bleeding, and I came in with abdominal pain. But I didn't say anything because I didn't want to be like, hey, I'm listening in on your whole private conversation with the doctor right now. And also it's like you expect, I don't know, the second that I put down my urine sample that didn't have like my sticker and number and name on it, I was worried that it was gonna get mixed up. But I have a theory later that I'll tell you. So finally my husband flags down a whole separate nurse and was just like, hey, it's been an hour since she's seen the doctor. Nobody has gotten her food. She was supposed to get food. Nobody's telling us what's going on. Nobody's checking in with her. We have been here for 7 hours. What is going on? And this guy was fantastic. He's like, I'll find out for you. Goes, he finds out. And he's like, are you still nauseous? And I was like, at this point, I'm perfectly healthy. Whatever gets me to go home, I want to go get myself food. If I'm vomiting, I'll come back. But like at this point, nobody got me food for an hour. I don't want your crusty, dusty crackers to see if I can hold them down. I'm gonna go get Taco Bell. I'm gonna get Taco Bell and see if I can hold Taco Bell down. So I was just like, I'm in pain, but I just want to go home. Like, I feel fine enough to go home. And he was just like, okay, let me go check on things. They gave me an antacid because the doctor, when I said, well, I'm here for my when she told me I had my UTI and I was like, is that why I have my abdominal pain? She was just like, no, what'd you eat the day before? And I told her and she's like, okay, it might be some acid reflux stuff. If we give you food and you keep vomiting, we're gonna run more tests. So he said, you know, okay, like he gave me the antacid for the potential GERD. I didn't even know that I had potentially had GERD. Like he just gave me the antacid and then drew up my prescription for my UTI antibiotics. And we get out of that bitch. It was 1:30 in the morning and my husband and I run out of there, run straight to Taco Bell. Am I stupid for getting Taco Bell? Yes, it was the only thing open. Hi, come on. It was the only thing open. And I did get something very plain from Taco Bell. Sorry, you're just seeing her butthole. And there was a house fire next to the Taco Bell. There's a house fire next to the Taco Bell. A lot was going on. I woke up the next day with not a single UTI symptom. My lower back didn't hurt. It wasn't uncomfortable or painful to pee. So I was just like, I feel like she got me and the girl next to me mixed up because let me also preface, she didn't check our bracelets before she started talking to us. She just came up and talked to us. So I just had this and I was like, whatever. I'm gonna take my antibiotics. Granted, they also didn't give me any antibiotics at the hospital. They didn't give me anything. The only thing they gave me was Zofran. So I was just like, I don't think I have a UTI. I think I was just really dehydrated. And like, thankfully my abdominal pain had kind of gone away. So they prescribed me antacid and UTI antibiotics. I'm gonna take them, whatever. Take it for a couple days, and then my primary actually called me on Thursday. Boots, stop it. If you can't behave, you hang out for story time. So my primary actually called me on Thursday and was like, hey, we saw you were at the emergency room. We would like to follow up with you. And I was like, great, I was supposed to call you 2 days ago, but I didn't. So I made an appointment for the next day. The next day, Friday. I started taking my antibiotics Wednesday evening, Thursday morning, Thursday night, Friday morning. So just 4 times, but it's multiple days I'm taking these antibiotics. That for a moment we also thought I was allergic to, because I'm allergic to amoxicillin, and we had like a panic moment of did I get prescribed something that was similar to amoxicillin, and I ended up being fine. Go to my primary on Friday, walk into his office, I sit down on my little bed, and he's like, this is also the first time I've actually met this primary, because when I switched insurances, I only had a phone call with him to get a referral to see my surgeon to get my rib removed. First time meeting him, he's like, what's going on? And I was just like, I gave him the whole spiel. I said I went to the emergency room, and this whole time he's pulling up my results, my chart, my test results from the emergency room. He didn't run new tests on me. Tell him the whole spiel. I said, got there, these were my pains, these were my symptoms. I will say my doctor did shame me for not coming in right away when I had abdominal pain. But he didn't shame me. He just said, it started at 3 a.m. and you didn't go to the doctor? And I said, no. And he said, you went the whole day with this pain? And I said, yes. And I knew exactly, I read between the lines. And I said, I promise I won't do that again. And I already promised my husband I won't do that again. And he said, okay. I tell him, and I said, and I got diagnosed with UTI, and then she didn't do anything about my abdominal pain. And he laughed. He laughed and he said, you don't have a UTI. And I said, what? He said, the results show that your test was negative for a UTI. I'm getting like hot and angry just thinking about it, because do you know how serious that is? Look, it's just a UTI. Oh, hi. It's just like, look, we're talking about getting girlies mixed up with UTIs. But what if it were something else? What if I was having appendicitis? What if I was, like, and I spent 7 hours there to get no help or care? Not only to be, like, wrongfully diagnosed in the sense of, like, I did the test wrong because I didn't do midstream and we retested and I didn't have one. No, my chart. She had my chart, she had my results, and my results said negative. But she saw somebody else's chart that said positive and told me I had a UTI and totally disregarded the symptoms I was actually having. So let me actually show you something. I got a goodie bag from my primary. Hi, Gracie. I have to do a stool sample, because I more than likely have an ulcer. An ulcer. Do you know, this is embarrassing. I literally have to take my shit to the doctor. I've done it for my dogs, and even anytime I do it for my dogs, it's still like, just like a humbling moment. Like, I'm holding shit. But to do it for myself, that's gonna have to happen Monday, and I'm truly not prepared. I'm truly not prepared. Thankfully, my doctor was just like, stop taking those antibiotics, please, take them away. Well, I actually said, should I keep taking the antibiotics? He said, no, I already deleted them from your chart, stop taking them immediately. And here's the difference, like, I don't want, look, was it super dangerous what that doctor did? Yes. But I do also still want to extend some grace and like sympathy and empathy, because my primary had all the rest in the world, had a normal schedule. He comes in, you know, office hours. This woman I don't even know what hour on her shift she was. I don't know how many more hours she had. And so that is what's like disheartening, because I don't want to take away from who she is as a doctor, because she's not given what she's needed to give and to perform her best, where truly she might have just been so exhausted she mixed us up. She might have thought she read the right chart. There's so many things, and it's like, no, you can't make mistakes like that in an emergency room. But I do want to extend some, just because I know, like, again, if you work in the medical field, I have so much love for you, so much respect, so much empathy, love, just kisses. And my husband wants to be a doctor too, so of course that holds a very, very special place in my heart. And I think that's also why I have a lot more insight to what they go through and why I have so much like empathy, because it's like, it's not fair. It's not fair that this person who's dealing with emergencies is given the schedule that makes her have the most exhaustion. Like, that's just not, the system needs to be changed. The system needs to change. But bottom line, she did do something very dangerous, and she mixed up patients, because what the other patient was going through was something very, very serious, and I don't want to like out her. You can't mix us up. And the biggest thing is, I will say, I'm going to put this one on her though. I didn't feel listened to in the beginning, because when I'm telling you I'm having abdominal pain and vomiting, and you hear back pain, you just think it's a UTI, and you run with that. I am putting that one on her. I didn't feel listened to, and I don't know who I need to put it on that I got forgotten about, but I was forgotten about, and that's on somebody, and I'm upset about that. But overall, her like mixing us up, again, I know she was probably just really tired, and I feel really bad because she deserves a nap. But that's so dangerous, and it's so frustrating, because I also was prescribed medication. Granted, like, antibiotics aren't gonna kill me if I don't need to take them, but they're hard on your body. Like, nobody just wants to willy-nilly take antibiotics. And that's just incredibly frustrating that I went home with a medication I wasn't even supposed to be taking, with a diagnosis that was not even just you misdiagnosed, you mixed up diagnoses. And that's frustrating. It's so, like, humans are so complex. Oh my God, I'm gonna get so deep right now. Humans are so complex, how on one hand I have room for anger, but on the other hand I have room for empathy and understanding, and then anger at the situation, but also anger that, because it affects us as patients, that these people who are working, like, oh, man, I could go down a whole thing, because we saw it with COVID, and that's why emergency rooms are also understaffed, because nobody wants to work in the emergency room with how they were treated during COVID. Like, healthcare as a whole, that's such a long conversation. Bottom line, I had a horrible, horrible, horrible experience at the emergency room. I was wrongfully diagnosed. I was wrongfully prescribed medication. I now have to shit in a cup and give it to my doctor. And I might have an ulcer, and I'm taking ulcer medication. I'm feeling okay though, like, I'm feeling better. I also now have a cold, a bad cough that won't go away. I haven't coughed once because I've taken cough medicine, but like, once the cough medicine wears off, I'm gonna be hacking. On top of recovering from a rib removal surgery and an ulcer, and now I have a cold. It's not been a good week. It's just like, it was just a very, very, very frustrating experience. Very frustrating. And I will say, like, I'm not gonna sue. Everybody's gonna be like, you should sue. And as much as I want my bag, I'm not going to. We are going to try to talk to somebody, just so it's like made aware. I will say, from people I know personally that have been going to that specific emergency room, there are a lot of complaints of a lot of mistreatment of patients, which is why we want to say something, because we don't want this to keep happening to people. And I don't know what can be done. I don't want anybody in trouble or fired. I just want it to be like little team powwow. Hey guys, make sure you're paying attention. Don't talk to a patient unless you physically have the chart in your hand and you check their bracelet. Because I think if she had my paperwork and my chart, and I don't know if they can do that, but had it in her hands, read my name, verified my birthday, because she didn't do that, and then said, okay, nope, you don't have a UTI. How are you feeling? And then I could be like, the focus is my abdominal pain. I feel like that could have just solved a lot. it's such a touchy subject too, because I don't want anybody in the medical field world to be like upset about my frustration, but I'm also frustrated for you. But I also don't want everybody to rile up against healthcare workers, because they're literally just doing their best and they're not given the resources and sleep schedule to do what they need to do, which is take care of us. And so like, I think instead of being mad at them, we need to be mad at the system and rile up the system and get, you know, we all win. We all win. If our doctors get 8 hours of sleep, I think we would all win. That's my story. That's my story. I'm feeling okay. The ulcer, I think, has calmed down because I'm not like eating anything that's gonna trigger her. It's a her. I don't know what I'm gonna name her yet. I don't also really know what an ulcer is. I've heard the term. I don't know what it is, actually. I just know I have it and it hurt really bad. But I feel okay, aside from being like cold sick. Just bummed. I'm just bummed at that experience. And it was a waste. It was a waste of 7 hours. 7 hours. In the emergency room, doesn't really feel like emergency room if you're taking 8 hours to care for a patient. And I know there's just so much to that. I know there's so much to that. Anyways, if you have anybody that works in healthcare, give them a big hug. In the medical world, give them a big hug. Give them a big hug, and if they need a nap, let them take a nap. But also, if you've ever dealt with like a doctor misdiagnosing, mistreating, or just not treating you fair or well, I do apologize about that too. Not that it's my responsibility at all, but I definitely sympathize and empathize with that. Thankfully, my last 2 primary care doctors have been really, really good to me. I've had horrible primary doctors before, and it's just such a mixed bag. Like, you don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater and say, doctors all suck, because they don't. There are some really, really, really good doctors. And, you know, but you also don't want to negate that there are bad doctors. Because there are. It's just, I mean, but that's with everything. That's with everything. I think I'm starting to have an existential crisis right now. Maybe I need a nap or a drink. Will that upset my ulcer? I think if it's just like red wine, right? I don't know. Can I drink on my ulcer medication? I should check that. Whatever. Anyways, that's my story for today. I needed to vent to you guys. I needed to vent about it. Please don't like hate on healthcare workers because, again, they're trying their best. But it just made me very bummed and sad and angry. I guess on bright news, if you guys follow me on Instagram, I'm posting a bomb French toast recipe. I just want to turn this video around in something joyous. So follow me on Instagram because I'm posting that. It'll already be posted by the time this video is up. It's a pumpkin French toast recipe. You need to try it. You need to try it. So that's my happy note at the end of this. Thank you so much for hanging out with me and letting me vent and get things off my chest, because I was really struggling with that, like a lot. So thank you for that. Make sure you like and subscribe and join our web. Join this ever-growing, ever-weaving web. Thank you so much for watching. If you got all the way through to my little ramble, I love you. I'll give you a little kiss on the cheek with consent. And I hope you guys have a great week. I will see you next week on YouTube, but you can follow all of my social media channels that are in the description box. And I am on TikTok daily. I'm on Instagram mainly daily, so I can see you every day over there. I love you so much. Share with a friend. I would love to meet your friends. And I will see you guys next Sunday. Okay, bye.